All right, let me share my screen. All right, guys. So we are almost through October, which is crazy, but we have some amazing leaders that are popping up this month. Our top Success Club earners are here. Of course, our fearless leader, Meg, Success Club 26. Carrie is 14. Britt is 12. Janelle, 12. Brandy, 12. Gabriella, 10. Crushing it. Do not look at the date as something that's going to limit you, but use it to encourage you, that you still have tonight. You still have these days ahead of you. You still have these hours to serve people, to pour into people, to connect with people. I work my business up until the very last day of the month, because there are people out there on the last day who need to hear what you have to say, who need to be encouraged by you, who are ready to join you. So just lead with that kind of realization that every single day that you wake up, you are using your journey to inspire and encourage others. I do not let the day of the month or the day of the week keep me from showing up to be my best for the people who deserve it. So these are our earners, and we hope to see you guys on here next week. And top recruiters, we have Meg, myself, and Brandy building our teams. And for rank advancements, we have Kitty, Lindsay, and Brandy, who all went Emerald, and that's super exciting. They're growing their business as well. So another thing, Doers Club, which is going to start on November 1st, which is really exciting. We're kicking that off. And in order to be in that group and then continue to be in that group, you have to hit Success Club the month before. Okay. So we still have time to push for that. And as soon as you hit it, if you miss it this month, that's okay. But as soon as you hit it in November, you're going to get put in that group. You do not have to wait until the end of the month. And Meg's going to be putting like these ridiculous top like mentorship and leadership trainings in there for us and so forth. So have that to encourage you. And she's putting those tools together just to help us rise and finish out this year. So, all right, let's dive in here. Enough of me. I am so excited to share with you guys. I'm excited that Kayla Ybanez is joining us tonight. And when I reached out to her, I was like so nervous to ask her to join us tonight because I don't know, it's like girl crush or something, like major, like, oh my gosh, she's gonna be like, who the heck? But I think that it's so, I had like this huge moment when she wrote back and was like, yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I should totally know that because that's how she leads on her social media. And that's how she is in her trainings. Like she is there to serve. And I noticed that about her from day one. When I came across her page, she leads with joy and enthusiasm and a ridiculous amount of knowledge and passion. She has an incredible story. She's married, has these 2 beautiful little children, and she is definitely your go-to person if you want to build a community on Instagram full of quality people. Learning how to pour into them, learning how to convert your followers into loyal clients without your typical hey girl messages, but actually leading with your heart and meeting people where they're at. She's going to help set you apart from the typical coach kind of things that are out there right now, kind of push you outside of your comfort zone, but see beyond so much of what we do see. So usually when I open up her stories, I always have my phone or a notebook because I don't want to miss anything she says. It's so good. So I hope you guys are ready. I'm really excited, but Kayla, thank you so much for taking the time with everything going on right now. You still made time for us tonight. We really appreciate it. So I'll let you dive in. We can ask questions at the end. Go ahead and take over.
First day in my new office, it's a work in progress. I'm like, God, this lighting's terrible. I need a lamp, but we're here, and it's nice that hopefully the kids won't be running around. But let me get my screen share going. You guys are in for a treat today. You get a presentation that I actually developed for Super Sunday that I'm speaking at in Toronto this weekend. So if anyone's there, you get it twice. But I was like, I don't really want to do something different because I'm like really excited about this material. So I'm like, you know what? That's what we're all about, is repurposing good stuff, because when it's good, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So what we're talking about is a few main topics, but primarily building up your Instagram engagement, some of the best practices to do that, and then how to take your audience through the know, like, and trust journey so that you can easily convert curious followers into loyal challengers and coaches. So a little bit of background about me for those who don't know me. I started my marketing career, God, how many years? Almost 15 years ago in fan site management, long before even Facebook was something that you could get access to without a college email. And I started network marketing my junior year of college and fell in love with it. I've been involved with Beachbody that long, such a long time. And even through what I went through throughout college, I got a degree in PR, and I never understood why I was so good at the sales piece, but I couldn't have that sustainable team that constantly grew. It was constantly that yo-yo, people dropping and wondering, and the imposter syndrome, what's wrong with me? Why is this not happening? And I spent many years not trying to solve that problem, just dealing with it or pulling back from the organization. And I still stayed relatively involved. And then what ended up happening was in January of 2018, my what I thought was healthy 3-year-old daughter out of nowhere had a ruptured appendix, sepsis, and almost died on the operating room table twice. And what we found out was she was faced with a failed immune system. And here I was, just a very general I say basic, but how basic can it be? Family, married to my husband, 2 kids, paycheck to paycheck, trying to figure stuff out, faced with now our income is cut in half and I have no control over anything that's happening to my family. So backed into a corner, we were in the hospital for our longest stay of 436 days straight. We went home from that stay in April of 2019. We've been back for a few mini stays, as I call them, about 8 times since. We actually just got back from one today. It's routine to us, but in that time of basically sitting in this room, healing, not much you can do, I ended up spending many months self-studying Instagram. And after a little while of posting things that have helped me, thinking I was going to dive headfirst back into my Beachbody business, people started asking me how I was doing these things on Instagram. And so my company, Kayla Ybanez Incorporated, was born a year ago this month, which is crazy. Why Instagram though? People are utilizing Instagram more than ever. Primarily, they are making their social media purchasing decisions based on what they see on Instagram. Also, now more than ever, with so many touch points and content creation avenues, with having lives and IGTV, stories, your feed posts, all of the different gifts and things that you can do. Your audience is spending more time on there more than ever, and Instagram knows this, and they want people to keep coming to the platform, so they constantly update these features. And with that being said, as a result of your audience spending so much more time on there, and you very likely spending a lot more time on there, trust with your audience is also built faster on Instagram than any other social media platform out there. But one of the biggest things that's holding people back from success on Instagram, and why people say Instagram's not working, it's, you probably noticed your story views went down, but what ends up happening is we're focusing on the wrong metrics to measure success. So let's just commit something to each other right here, right now, that we're going to stop focusing on the vanity metrics. Because when I say vanity metrics, I am talking your Instagram story views, your likes, your comments, your reach, basically most metrics that Instagram delivers to you, because they are no measures of success. I'll use myself as an example. In this past year, 2 of my biggest months in business were when my traditional engagement was at less than a 2%, which by vanity metric standards really sucks. But that didn't impact my ability to make an impact and also to bring in sales for my business. So they don't mean success for your business when they're high. More followers doesn't make you any more trustworthy compared to someone that has less. I have peers and also clients that have less than 3,000 followers, making six-figure businesses online, some of them in network marketing and direct selling. And more followers, again, doesn't mean that you are making any more money, which is a common misconception within our industry. Our audience does not think that more followers means that you're making more money, which a lot of people think. Just another example of how this is the case, there was a social media influencer, don't remember her name, but she had just over 2.2 million followers and wanted to launch a merch line. And lo and behold, she could not sell 34 t-shirts to an audience of over 2.2 million, which just goes to show the size of your audience doesn't matter. If they are not your ideal client, if they are not the person who has their credit card out ready to work with you, and if they're not ready to be impacted by the services that you are offering, we need to change things up with your messaging and how you are serving your people. So some tips to boost engagement. And again, this is engagement not to be represented in vanity metrics, but to boost engagement in the impact and the relationships that you're building. Because what I teach is based solely in values, integrity, and in a relationship-based business. Numbers have a place, I feel, but I don't feel like this is the area where we need to focus on numbers in our business. So some of the most important tips. First one is using hooks and calls to action in every caption. And when you aren't used to doing this, it can seem daunting and it could be sometimes the hardest thing to develop in your caption, but it is the most important because here's the thing. People read captions a lot like they read emails, which is they read the subject line in the first line and they scroll down to read the end to see the PS. They want to know, okay, what's the point here? The same thing can be said for your caption. If you want people to spend time on your caption, which you do, you want people to spend more than 5 seconds on your caption, because what this does is this tells Instagram that you're keeping people on the platform, which they want, and therefore they prioritize your content, boost you in your hashtags, and show your content more readily to people who are live on Instagram in the scroll because it is not chronological. So the more time they spend, the better it performs. So how do we stop people in the scroll? Pictures are important, yes. Visuals have their place, but your words are just as powerful because some people are more visual. The readers, though, we can't abandon them. So how can we grab their attention? Using a hook. My best tips for hooks are going to be, you can get a little bit clickbaity. You can say, oh my God, you won't believe what happened. What also is very common is if you're telling a story, tell us the point in the hook and then give us the whole spiel. So like, I broke my leg today, then tell us what happened. It doesn't always have to be for something dramatic like that. It can literally be, today is the best day of my life. Why is that? And then calls to action. CTAs and then CTEs are pretty much the same thing. Calls to action, calls to engagement. You might see those phrases used a lot in this industry, but ultimately you always want to give people something to do, because the more you give them something to do, the more time they spend thinking about you. And the more time they spend thinking about you while on Instagram, after a while, they also think about you outside of Instagram, which we're going to get to here in a little bit. But some of my favorites, I'll give you a few quick ones. Directing people to the link in your bio to apply to work with you is common when you are looking to enroll in a challenge group or in a coach sneak peek or something like that. Or also my favorite that I use in between and when I'm not launching anything, and that is just asking questions. One of the best things to do is just to get a dialogue going. And these don't have to be deep questions at all. And actually I recommend less is more, because you don't want people to have to think. You have to ask a question that they could answer in a split second. Tacos, hard or soft shell? Game of Thrones, yes or no? Pumpkin spice or peppermint mocha? Something that someone can just go boom. Don't ask people to tell you the story of how they met their significant other. We don't have time for that. So focus on what they can answer quickly and easily, because getting more comments, not from a vanity metric standpoint, does help your performance, but it's not always the number of comments, it's about the quality. So the more words that people can give you in those comments, that improves your position. So yes or no questions are not always encouraged, but sometimes it just fits, and roll with it because it's better than nothing. Because again, that priority is to get people to think about you. And I want you to remember that, because we want people to think of us. So again, some examples. I forgot I had these in here, but my 3 tips to do, that's another great hook. When you're teaching someone something, tell us what you're going to teach us. Because if we're curious about your 3 tips to lose 10 pounds by Christmas, okay, we're going to pay attention. I nearly poop emoji'd my pants. Who is not going to look at that? Let's be honest. And then one of my favorites as well that I actually just talked about in my Instagram caption today, save this post if you want blank. Talk about something that you know your ideal client wants to know, wants to have, wants to do, and tell them to save it. If you tell people to save it in your hook, they will do it. Because again, people ingest Instagram so passively and they're so busy, it's almost like mind control in a way where you say, save this post. I'm not even thinking about it. I am literally just going to go boop, save it, and then ask questions later. The more saves you get, this is what really matters as far as metrics, shares and saves. And if you go onto your Instagram feed, click one of your photos, you have to have a business or a creator account, and then you'll see, you scroll up a little bit and you will see this little airplane and then a little like flag. That is your shares and saves. If you were going to look at any statistic on the regular, I would check that because that shows us that our audience thinks that our content is worth revisiting later and telling people that we know about it. And that is more valuable than anything that a like or a profile view can represent. And then calls to action, which dress do you like better? Tell me a fun fact about you, because here's something, I'm sure you've realized this, people love to talk about themselves. Anytime someone does a call to action about a fun fact, I have so many things I love to throw out, like my very irrational fear of bees. So I will tell that to anyone who will listen. So do an introduction post every now and then and ask a fun fact. You will be surprised how many people will love to talk about themselves. And hey, you might be able to get in the DMs from that as well, because I always DM people that also tell me that they have irrational fears of bees. So tip to boost engagement number 2 is responding to all of your comments. And the most important point is to respond within the 24 hours of posting to your feed. That is the typical lifespan of a feed post. After that, you don't have to respond unless it's a good conversation and you feel like responding. I even respond to those spam bots that are like, oh, wow, you should DM us so we can sponsor or be a collab. You know, those weird ones that are like, buy my sunglasses and I'll give you a coupon code, that weird crap. Just say thank you so much for your support and leave it at that, because even though their comment is not beneficial, not an ideal client, your response still counts as another comment and that helps. So keeping that comment, the longer the better, more words, better placement. And then as a result, those people who are commenting also that you are responding to, they see your feed content and your story content more often. So everything and all of these things really work together so that people are seeing you more often. And the more they see you, the more they think of you. And then number 3, this is the best one. If you take anything from this, this has been the absolute game changer for myself and my clients when you do this regularly. Excuse me. And that really is the key. And that is when you see people who are consistently commenting and liking, you see them lurking on your stories, maybe they haven't really said anything, but what you can do is if you notice these people, DM them, and instead of inviting them, which maybe is what you are typically accustomed to doing, ask them what they want to see from you. And bonus points if you do a video message or a voice memo, because that personal touch brings down people's walls. Because that's something that people tell me in this industry is you're getting a lot of resistance because people have either been burned by someone else in this industry or they've heard negative things, so they're just really cut off to it. But if you show that you literally are just asking their opinions so that you can deliver something for them without expecting anything in return, this is how you build true relationships with people who, when you say the right thing and you hit that point where they're like, yes, I need her in my life, they're not going to give you price objections or time objections. They're going to be ready to roll because you took the time to give to them. And that really is the key here with a relationship-based business. And planting these seeds pays off. It might not be this month, it might not be next month, but you could very well have a dang fruitful January with really putting other people first. And when you ask people, they literally tell you what they want to see. So when you wake up and you're like, I don't know what to post, these people tell you. And this is a great way to slide back into the DMs as well in a really feel good way, because you're like, hey, Brenda, you said you wanted 3 tips for fat loss, and I developed that. I just posted it to my feed. Did you get a chance to see it yet? Oh, yeah, I saw it. It was great. And I was thinking I also need help with this. Now you have an in to continue to talk about what you offer because you took the time to do for her first. You will be amazed at how many of my clients have gotten people into their groups by just changing their approach to doing first without expecting anything, because that brings down people's walls. But what is the know, like, trust journey? You may have heard of this, but I really want to explain it because I think it's really important to not only utilize this and really pay attention to where your audience is on this journey, because this is going to determine how you interact with them, and also to make sure that they are hitting all of these touch points, because if they don't get into like, they're not going to get to trust. If they don't know you, they can't like you if they don't know you. So this is really an important flow to pay attention to. So this is the journey where in the know, the customer becomes aware of you, they've heard of you, maybe they've clicked on your profile before. Like is they decide they like you. This is going to be a key one here. And then trust is they believe in you and they trust you enough to listen to you and listen to the recommendations that you make and take action based upon them. So really, again, the purpose is to build loyalty. And this is something else that I really focus on, because as coaches, we don't want people to just buy a tub of Energize and bounce. We want people to be consistent customers, and hopefully, if it's the right fit, join us and build a business of their own, or even come on as a discount coach, have that discount for life, and still be able to be a part of your community in another way. But one of the biggest things to pay attention to, and this is why I am so passionate about avoiding cold messaging, is cold messaging is basically trying to take someone from knowing you to trusting you in one swoop. And it doesn't work. On the rare occasion it does, it often doesn't, again, pan out for long-term loyalty. And that's how your company, your brand, what you're building can become sustainable and scalable, is having that loyalty. So what can happen when you use it? I can talk about all of the amazing things that can happen, but one of the biggest things you will notice right away is you will very likely get applications for the first time in months. You might feel like you're talking about your application, nobody gives a crap, but honestly, with focusing on this and relationships first, clients that I've worked with have been able to get applications and get people who are literally like, how can I work with you? Send me the invoice, which is pretty much unheard of. I mean, when's the last time you had someone just say, send me the share cart, and they take care of it before you've been able to get out of your chair? It just really doesn't happen, right? But it can when you focus on utilizing the customer journey and taking them on it with you. So to build know, to make people aware of you, the biggest thing is to pay attention to speaking to a specific individual. And I could have done an entire training on ideal client and niche, but I know you've heard a lot about it, but just really going back to, again, I know you guys have had a lot of trainings on this. Who are you speaking to? And are you creating content that is exactly what they need to hear, so that they say, you are in my head the minute they get to your page and read through your content? So you can even give yourself a little audit right now. If you just go to your Instagram, click on a few captions, try to be objective. Say, if this person, Ashley, comes to my page, is she going to feel like I am only speaking to her? If not, we really want to make this shift, because we want people to be so in the know of this phase that not only they follow you, but they start to pay attention. We need them to pay attention in order to get them to the like phase. To get from know to like, that is the hardest process. Again, common misconception. People think my audience doesn't trust me, my audience doesn't trust me, and that's the issue. Honestly, no. They don't really know you, and as a result, they can't like you yet. That's why this piece, although not the sexiest, it's the most important. So making sure that everything you create is for that individual. Even if they just come to your page, they should You probably maybe even have gotten DMs like this before. People saying, like, I feel like I've known you. That's the goal. That's exactly what we want to happen. And then the like phase. This is a piece that I don't feel like is talked a lot about in our industry. So that's why I really want to highlight this, because this is huge. People need to like you based on things that have absolutely nothing to do with your business, Beachbody, health, fitness, nutrition, food, none of that, before they can like you based on your business. And again, that's an important piece. We think, how can I build authority, expertise, and trust if I'm not talking about my business all the time? And this is, again, one of those missing links that once you fix it, it's like, where has this been my entire life? This is why when you're kind of figuring out what your brand is and what your story is, what are some things that make you you that have nothing to do with your business? I'll give you some examples. With me, it's all things pumpkin spice lattes. So as a result, when people see things like that in the world outside of Instagram, they think of me. And this is such an important piece that can make a difference in people trusting you when they get to that phase enough to not ask questions and literally believe what you're saying, because you're making an honest recommendation, because you have the tools that are best for solving their problems. And they're like, okay, wow, like we relate so much on, like, we both like Grey's Anatomy, and we both have young kids, and we like pumpkin spice lattes. That boosts trust in the trust phase more than how many people are on your team, what your rank is, how much money's in the bank. None of that matters. This is what matters. So again, doing an audit of your content. Are you just posting about your business, or are we getting to know who you are as a person and as a human? Again, very basic things. This does not have to be anything groundbreaking. You do not have to have an intense story like I do, like hospital things. People think of me for better or for worse. But again, that's part of my story, part of my brand, like pumpkin spice. With my Stop the Hey Girl brand, when people say hey girl on things, they think of me, they send it to me. And people thinking of you outside of Instagram is how they're going to think of you even more so on Instagram. And then getting to trust. Once they're in like, and they're really in like with you, getting to trust is so simple when you've established that expertise, that authority, and have stepped into being the leader, the representation, and the face of your brand. Of course, owning that CEO mindset, being in a good money mindset, all of that is important. But let me talk about some really important pieces that you can really start doing today that can make a difference in getting people from like to trust. Because you very well might have a bunch of people in that like slow cooker that they're just not getting ready yet. So some of the best things that you can do is to accept that you don't have to know everything or be an expert on everything. Share what you're learning and share where you got it from. Even, of course, we know not all information is new information, but people think that if they give credit to even someone in their industry, it takes away from their expertise. And that's not the case at all. So sharing where you learned something, giving credit, that boosts authority, because you have the lady balls to say, hey, I don't know everything and I'm cool with that. This is my space, but I want to talk to you about this, and this is where I got it from. So that's a huge piece. Another one is avoiding stock photos. Corporate sends beautiful photos. They're great. The trainers are beautiful. We love them, but we want to see you. And I make this joke in a lot of my content, but it's true. It's like, okay, when your audience comes to your page and they see Jericho, they're like, who's this redhead? They don't join your challenge group for Jericho. They join it for you. They're not investing in her. They want to be around you, around your energy, be in your circle. So making sure that you are the face of your brand, because again, I say this also a lot, you are your business, and Beachbody is a portion of that. It's almost like they support you, not the other way around. So we want to see you. So showing more of your face in your pictures, showing up more on stories, just talking to the camera about anything, what you ate for breakfast, what you and the kids are doing, you pointing it out the window, what's your creepy neighbor doing in the yard. We want to see all of that, because it's part of you, your brand, your story. And then of course, a piece that's going to make such a difference and your overall presence on Instagram is just to keep your blinders on and not worry about what others are doing. Even if so-and-so top coach is doing amazing at doing this, it doesn't matter because their audience is different than your audience. And your audience wants to hear what you have to say in your words, from your perspective. That's why they're here. And so all the time that we spend seeing, well, what works for so-and-so, I'm going to try that, your audience is confused because all they're doing to get to trust is waiting for you to put those blinders on and stay in your lane. Because that's what they're here for. They don't need this misconstrued idea of perfection. At the end of the day, they just want you. So with that being said, when we're in trust, converting those curious followers to loyal customers. So you've got people watching, and you probably, those of you that have been in this for a hot minute, probably feel like you have had people watching you for years. I call these people curious fence sitters. And ultimately, they are going to sit on that fence with their popcorn, and they're going to keep watching you until this happens, until you step into that highest level version of you, that CEO version, who is owning their power and treating their business like a business and leading with service and leading with relationships. They also are waiting for you to make it clear what you're all about and what you want to help them do. So rather than trying to help everyone and, I'm looking for 10 women who want to lose or gain 5 to 15 pounds, that's not what they need. They want to know that I am coming out here to help moms of multiple toddlers lose 10 pounds by Christmas. The people that need that, they're waiting for you to be that specific, because when you're specific about what transformation you are going to help them receive and what you're going to support them in achieving, that's how they're going to get off the fence. So how can you do that? The best thing, again, that I want to tell you what you can focus on doing right now, because that's what matters. Focus on giving enough teaching and enough free value to be the equivalent of what you would expect them to do in that initial investment. So $160 challenge pack, they are going to expect to be given $160 free value. With value being so subjective, I recommend over-delivering. Again, in this industry especially, I hear that people are afraid that if they give too much away, people won't buy. Again, that's not the case, because people, when they invest, they can get workouts anywhere. They can go to GNC and get supplements. They're buying you, your support, your energy to be in your circle, because you are providing this container. And when you show just how amazing this container is for the people who you help best, that's what they want to be a part of. They want to be inside of that container. So tip number one about, again, converting these fence sitters, we got to get really crystal clear on that ideal client. So rather than just focusing on the latest product releases, what is going to help your client? So you may have noticed that a lot of the workout releases have been a little bit more boutique type of workouts. That trend is not going away, especially in big cities, Chicago, LA, New York. Boutique studios are popping up everywhere because very specific classes are really the hottest thing. But you'll notice, like, the work is not for everyone. It's probably, for a lot of you, it's not for your audience at all. So what can you provide and what can you run for them that's going to help your specific person, even if it's not the latest release? That is how you're going to get people consistently, by giving them what they need. A lot of people are going back to Lift 4 because that's what their audience really likes. 80-day obsession, going back to just focusing on the nutritional basics. That's absolutely fine, because again, trying to put your audience, it's like trying to get them into a hole that's just not, they're not meant to be in. It's like, what is that? The square peg and the circle hole. It's just not going to happen. And that's where your resistance is coming in. And again, instead of saying I'm looking for 10 people line, which you may have been guilty of using, I've used it more times than I care to count. Your audience doesn't care about what you're looking for. They want to know what's in it for them. So be clear about who you want to help and that result you want to help them achieve. What do they want to achieve so badly that they are ready to pay for it? And then number 2, how can you show up and help your followers, again, versus focusing on your own agenda? Your audience wants to know what's in it for them, and your content should represent that. So rather than just posting a sweaty selfie to pat yourself on the back that you just hit day 99, what can you take from your own lesson to give to them? So think of Ashley. What does Ashley need to hear today? It might not be related to you almost hitting workout number 100, but we want to make sure that we're serving them, because if we're not serving them, it's going to be so hard to ask them to hand over their credit card. So again, audit your own content as objectively as you can. Is it client serving or is it self-serving? Because the best part is, even if you're looking and you're like, oh God, self-serving down the line, you can change that today. Because people aren't scrolling back that far. They're going to start present time. You can change that right now. And then being super clear and very direct and specific in your calls to action. If you don't tell people what to do and what you expect them to do and what that next step is, we've got squirrel brain. We're distracted. Little Johnny just puked on us. We're running. Oh my God, it's bedtime. It's a disaster. So if you're not clear on, go to the link in my bio, which should just be the direct link, ditch Linktree, and fill out the application right now. We're going to go and do it. But if you use super passive language like, if you're interested, or if you think this is for you, go check it out, or let me know if you're interested, you're never going to hear from them. Passive language is not boosting your authority. And scroll brain kills more dreams than anything else possibly could. But I want to talk to you about something as well that I have for you guys. Instagram stories is the place that your audience is hanging out. So I want you to tell me, do you spend most of your time talking on stories, looking at other people's stories? Oh, thank you for sharing, Cruz. He's sharing our wonderful window decorations.
Can I have this one?
Oh, I'd love it. Thank you. Can you let mommy work? Okay, perfect. Thank you, buddy. You're the best. I appreciate you sharing with me. I love you. I do love it. Thank you. Can you shut the door? Thanks, bud. So guess what? You're on stories. Your audience is as well. And if you want to know the most effective and the quickest way to be able to take your audience through that know, like, and trust journey and do it right, Instagram stories can do that for you. The stock photos, the I'm looking for 10 women are not helping you change lives with Beachbody's products and with your groups, plain and simple. Because those types of posts, maybe those infographics that everyone seems to be posting the same of, it's becoming noise to your audience and they're skipping over them. But we can do something about that. That's why I wanted to talk to you guys about my Instagram Stories Launch Blueprint, which is the course that I put together that is a go at your own pace course that takes your audience from being that curious fence sitter to a loyal customer through using Instagram story launch templates. And what's so amazing about this and why I love it so much is I literally do this for every single launch that I do, whether it's a freebie all the way up into higher ticket, very niche specific programs, and it works every single time. And if you want to know how to have challenge groups that people get excited to sign up for and that people are actually filling out applications, this is a system that you can do that takes the guesswork out and that you can literally follow step by step by step. So if you're someone that's like, tell me what to do and I'll do it, that's who I made this for. Because when people kept asking me like, how do you get all of these applications and you don't have that big of an audience, but people care about what you're doing, I was like, okay, well, crap, let me take every step that I do, spell it out step by step by step, clear as can be, and put it out there so that you can literally do exactly what myself and my clients do without feeling like I don't know what to do and winging it. It's literally step by step, and you can do it for challenge groups, coach sneak peeks, or even if you want to sell an ebook or something on the side, it literally works the exact same way. And again, this is the special that I'm doing for Super Weekend, but it's Super Weekend week. So the special's up right now. So if you want to take advantage, it's there. I'm not a hard sell, but if you're like, heck yeah, what you're talking about resonates with me, then I highly recommend you do it, because it's go at your own pace. You can do it whenever you want, and it will work literally every single time. So if anyone has any questions, I'm going to look at the chat. It was so hard for me like not to click it while I'm talking, but again, squirrel brain kills dreams. If we're not friends on Instagram, we should be, because I post all the goods on there all the time. But let me look at the comments real quick. And I turned on the video too. I totally like remove videos when I'm talking, because I just will want to stare at your faces. All right. Yes, if they do buy Energize, they'll bounce. See, I love that. I should use that when I talk on Sunday. Yeah, see, I love that, Rachel. Tie-dye, like these little things that people think of, but we don't talk about them enough, because we're like, well, that's dumb. Why would I talk about tie-dye when I can talk about business? But it's like, that's what's going to bring people to you, is that very simple stuff. Do you think there's a minimum amount of times you must be engaged in DMing before an invite is appropriate? No, I don't have like a standard of you got to talk for a week or you got to send 3 messages. I think that we know when the time is right, and we overcomplicate it. And why we overcomplicate it, and here's where it's going to burn. We overcomplicate it because we're only thinking about us. So we're thinking, I need 2 more Success Club points. Oh my God, when should I message this person? And it's clouding our judgment. But if we're like, okay, I'm talking to Sarah, and she told me that she really wants help with this and doesn't know what to do. And you ask yourself, is what I'm providing a solution for her? If yes, then tell her about it. I think we make it super crazy, but literally for certain cues, if they tell you that they're dealing with something that you have a solution for, I feel like you're doing a disservice to them if you don't mention it. And it, again, doesn't have to be a hard sell. It can literally be, Sarah, you said this the other day, and I've been thinking about you ever since, because I am running this group. I'm only taking on a few women because I really want it to focus on women that need help with X, Y, and Z. And I thought of you. Does that sound like something that you need in your life right now? So you can keep it that simple. Yes. I have been saying we are working the 3 weeks before Thanksgiving to present our best selves that Thanksgiving week. Yeah. Like maybe if people it's really important that they're meeting up with family and they really want to feel like $1 million, that's a really important goal that they're pushing to. Just the biggest thing with your link is if you give people too many places to make decisions, they're going to get distracted. So change your link out as much as you need to. So if you're pushing to a group right now, then put the application in your bio. If next week you've got a freebie for people to download, switch out the link. So you can switch it out as many times as you need to. The conversion with Linktree is just so terrible once they get in it that I just don't think it's worth it. I think it turns people away, especially long term. Yes, I post on stories, but I need to start talking on them instead of just posting. Yeah, because people, they want to hear from you. And it's so funny because people are like, my life is boring. I'm like, I literally just spent from Friday to today in the hospital. Not fun, very boring, but I showed up and my DMs are blowing up over everything from what we're doing to literally things that are completely unrelated. It's not their lives. So people think it's a lot more interesting than we give ourselves credit for. For applications, I like Typeform, but literally some other ones, people use Google Forms, Woofu, Jotform. It doesn't matter. Whatever one you're most comfortable using is the key. But does anyone have any other questions?
I have a quick question, Kayla. So in regards to like the application part of it, because other trainings I've listened to is like, oh, make sure you have a freebie. Well, you can only put like one link. So like if I want them to fill out my application, but I also want them to be a part of like my weekly taco and cocktail recipes, like how do I have both of those there without using Linktree?
Totally. I want to avoid getting into discussions about funnels, because if I do, no one will be able to sleep tonight. You'll be too overwhelmed. But just to keep it short, if you are into emails, you can have the freebie and then the application be on email too, where it's like, oh, I hope this, long story short, I hope this freebie was helpful. If you're interested in da-da-da-da-da, here's the application. So it can work in a funnel. Another option is to, when you're talking about the freebie, let's say in stories and or your feed, put it in the bio. The next day, like that post, people aren't paying it, like that 24-hour lifespan, like it's basically done. So let's say on today's post, it's a push to the application. So swap out the link and put the application back in.
Okay. All right, cool. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Does anyone have any other questions for Kayla? That was awesome, right? Oh my gosh. See, like what I'm talking about, I'm just like notes of, you can't even see it because it's bright, but all of the notes, if you guys don't follow her on Instagram, definitely do, because this girl serves and she puts out content all the time that's incredible. Her trainings are there for you and all of the different ways to get plugged in. I was just listening to her podcast today. Like, she is just in the know and she's here to meet us where we're at. So take advantage of that and get plugged in with her because she's incredible. So thank you so much for having
me, guys.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone.
I'm excited to see you, Taylor. It's going to be fun. I've never flown to Canada, so I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. So we're winging it.
That's awesome. I guess you should probably dress warm. It's probably cold there.
Well, Chicago, I'm sure it's just.
I'm in Florida, so we're still sweating down here. All right, guys. Well, thanks, Kayla. We really appreciate your time. And thanks everyone else for hopping on. And we'll see you next week.
See you guys later. Have a good one.
All right. Bye, guys.